The Whistling Northern Lights. Yes, that is your Empathy Tale story today. Welcome back to another My Kids Locker COVID-19 podcast. This is Victoria Wolders, a teacher, mom, and a podcaster too. So I hope that you're comfortable because we are going to start off with part 1, which is listening to a mindful moment.
To part 1. Are you comfy? Are you cozy? Well, get ready to listen.
Well, welcome to part 1. Part 1 here is an opportunity for us to be able to spend some time in a mindful moment. It's an opportunity for us to think about something that is kind and generous and hopeful. Well, today's episode, we are going to be focusing on humility. We're going to be thinking about humility. Humility means thinking of others before yourself. When was the last time you were humble? When was the last time you thought to yourself, I'm going to give that last piece of cake or pie or cookie to someone else? Humility is important because it thinks about other people other than ourselves first. So today, take some time to be humble. Take some time to choose to give your time away and choose to be caring to others. Now, on to part 2.
Hi everyone, welcome back to part 2 today. We are going to create something amazing and let's get crafty. Bye.
Here we are in part 2. Thanks for staying with us. So, this story today is called The Whistling Northern Lights, and today's focus is going to be on telling. This week, we are working on style of writing. So, style means that we are working on how we write and how we communicate our understanding. So, today, the Northern Lights are a beautiful natural phenomenon of how the light from the sun hits our atmosphere, and they can only be found at certain places on the earth. Take some time to think about descriptive words of our beautiful Northern Lights. Listen to the story and use adjectives and adverbs to demonstrate your understanding of style. Then write a reflection about the story, describing the Northern Lights and what you learned from the story. I'll say that again. So, while you are reading or while you're listening to the story, you're going to be using adjectives and adverbs. Now, some of you might need to pull that up on the screen on the internet, adjectives and adverbs, so people understand what that is. Adjectives are words that describe nouns. The happy boy. Happy is the adjective. Adverbs are descriptive words of verbs. Okay. Ran or merrily ran down the road. Merrily would be a descriptive word that is an adverb to run. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to write down as many adjectives and adverbs as possible while you are listening to the story. Then, after you're done, you're going to write a reflection of the story, whether you enjoyed it or not, what you thought of it, maybe some connections, and that for you to give an opportunity to describe the Northern Lights and what the story was about and what you learned. Okay, with all that being said, I hope that you enjoy the story, The Whistling Northern Lights.
Once upon a time, a long time ago, in the Oak and Eagle Kingdom, up in the land of the Northern Eagle, there lived a man who lived in a large cottage in the bottom of a valley. His name was Whistler, because he could whistle beautifully. During the wintertime, he would often see, up in the land of the Northern Eagle, beautiful lights come up above the mountains. As the sun was setting, it was dusk, he could see some of these lights, and they came to be known as the Northern Lights. These Northern Lights were absolutely beautiful. There were purples, blues, yellows, and oranges, and all different colors. The only thing was that these lights would only go up and down. And because they'd only go up and down, they almost stayed still. He thought to himself when it was a clear night, wouldn't it be amazing if these lights danced? So he decided to go out and find the Wizard of the Northern Eagle. The wizard lived in the frosted giant's village. He decided to travel to go talk to the Wizard of the Northern Eagle in his frosted giant's village. This wizard was a giant. He lived in a village with all these giants that were frosted, and they looked cold. The frosted giants looked like giants the size of polar bears without fur. The wizard was no exception. His head was white, and he was a big giant, yet he was a wizard too. This man went to the wizard. He knocked on the wizard's door. The Wizard of the Northern Eagle opened the door and said, "What would you like?" The whistler said, "Every night I see these beautiful northern lights come up, yet they only go up and down. I think it would be beautiful if they could dance with the sky, and they would show to everyone the beauty of different colors the earth can make." The Land of the Northern Eagle wizard said, "Well, what would you give me in return?" The man said, "Well, I am poor and I do not have much. However, I can contribute one thing. Since I was a young boy, I've always been a talented whistler. If you grant me the dancing of the lights, during the light show, I will whistle all the time, and I will give you my gift of whistling, and when I whistle, the lights will dance. I would dedicate every single whistle to the Northern Lights. And if we do that, I can also teach others in my community how to whistle, and they can dedicate their whistling to the Northern Lights too. And soon the Northern Lights will dance, and we will become a stronger community." The wizard looked at him and said, "Well, I will gift you the dancing Northern Lights, only if you whistle." So from that point on, whenever the man whistled during the Northern Lights, they would dance, and they were so beautiful. They would twirl, they'd go sideways, they'd go up and down. It almost looked like beautiful brides dancing in a row with different colors on. The wizard looked at him and said, "Well, I will gift you the dancing Northern Lights, only if you whistle." From that point on, whenever the man whistled during the Northern Lights, they would dance, and they were so beautiful. What happened was the man started to get old, and he was known as the Whistler. Many people would gather around his house. The Whistler came to love everyone, and everyone came to love the Whistler. Now, one thing that was really interesting about the Land of the Northern Eagle is in the springtime, there would be these beautiful reeds that would come up in the meadows. They were almost as hard as bamboo. If you listened carefully when the wind blew through the meadows, you could hear the reeds whistling to each other. So the children of the Land of the Northern Eagle would pick up these reeds, break them up, and then they would use them as flutes, and they would make beautiful whistling noises. Some of the youngest children in the land would use these whistles because their mouth could not whistle themselves. When the children got older, they would often be able to whistle with their mouths. Well, the man started to get older. He started to lose his voice. He started to lose his ability to be able to whistle. Yet the children of the Northern Eagle started to know how to whistle themselves. And those that couldn't use reeds, they wanted to still see the lights dancing. Their community came together to see and hear beauty. Every spring, they would make sure they would gather enough reeds. In the winter, when the wind blew cool and the sun was setting low in the sky, the northern lights would start coming up. The children began to join him and whistle with their mouths or reeds. They saw the beautiful dancing of the lights in the sky. It was magnificent. Well, one cold winter day, the man did not come out. He passed away. Yet the children still showed up, and they began to whistle with their mouths, and some came with their reeds. That night and onward, if the community looked up closely, you could see the old man dancing to the whistling children. He was finally happy. The land of the Northern Eagle changed the name of the Northern Lights to the whistling Northern Lights in honor of the whistler. They knew from that point on that he was the one who granted the blessing of having the whistling Northern Lights. If it wasn't for the whistler and the children to come together, the beauty of the sky wouldn't have been seen. The whistling Northern Lights would have just gone up and down. The whistler's courage and bravery to ask the land of the Northern Eagle's wizard made it possible for them to see beauty, dance, and it built community and connection. The wizard was like a catalyst, but in the end, it was the whistler and the children that truly created beauty. If it wasn't for the children getting the reeds and whistling with their mouths, then the legacy may not have continued. We are grateful for the role that the wizard, the whistler, and the children played in the land of the Northern Eagle to create more beauty and to create connection. The end.
Hi everyone, it's time to innovate, part 3. Woo.
Here we are in part 3. Thanks so much for joining us. Well, in part 3, we are now going to be extending our understanding. So, where are the Northern Lights found in the world? What do they look like? Today you're going to take some time to go on the internet and look and see and learn about the Northern Lights. If you are allowed to, watch some videos, but please make sure you talk to an adult before you do that. Once you have located where the site is that you would like to possibly see the Northern Lights, I would like you to plan a vacation there. Yeah, plan a vacation. Learn about the area, learn about the sightseeing, and write down some ideas. And then what you can do is you can draw a picture and show me what it would be like to send a postcard from that location. Okay? So what you're going to do for your extension lesson, you're going to research a little bit of the Northern Lights, where they're found in the world. Then you're going to pick one location to go vacation there. And then you can draw a postcard of that place. I hope you have fun. And if you need to put pause on the podcast, please do so now. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope that you enjoyed today's story, The Whistling Northern Lights. Feel free to come back to us again and listen to more episodes or learn about cool jokes and other things from our mascot, Snowball. Well, until next time, I hope you have less screens, more listening, more creating, and more innovating. This is Victoria Wolders, your podcast host, signing off. See you later.